Hey everyone, today we let ChatGPT write a short suspense novel from scratch, and he did. I turned this story into a video, and please rate ChatGPT's writing ability out of 5 stars. Lucy Brown stepped out of her car and looked up at the lighthouse. The structure loomed over her, casting a shadow that stretched all the way to the nearby forest. The old wooden door creaked as she pushed it open, and she was greeted by the smell of dust and salt water. The lighthouse was a mess. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the furniture was covered in layers of dust. Lucy smiled despite the state of the lighthouse. It was the perfect project for her, and she couldn't wait to start renovating it. She was going to turn it into a bed and breakfast, a place where people could come and experience the beauty of the coast. As she started to clean up, she noticed that the lighthouse had a basement. The door was locked, and she couldn't find the key. She made a mental note to look for it later and decided to focus on cleaning the rest of the lighthouse. Days passed, and Lucy worked tirelessly on the lighthouse. The renovation was progressing well, and she was starting to see her vision take shape. However, strange things started to happen. At night, she heard strange noises coming from the basement. It sounded like someone was moving furniture around or dragging something across the floor. Lucy tried to ignore the noises, but they started to get louder and more frequent. She decided to investigate the basement, but the door was still locked, and she couldn't find the key. She started to feel uneasy, like she was being watched. One day, Lucy decided to do some research on the lighthouse's history. She went to the town's library, and started looking through old newspapers and archives. She discovered that the lighthouse had a dark past. In the 1930s, the previous owner had committed suicide in the basement. His wife had died a few years earlier, and he couldn't bear the loneliness anymore. Lucy was shocked by the discovery. She had never heard of anything like this before. She started to wonder if the strange noises she heard at night were the ghost of the previous owner. Lucy's curiosity got the best of her, and she started to look for the key to the basement door. After searching for hours, she finally found it buried under a pile of books in the library. Lucy went down to the basement, and the smell of salt water hit her. The basement was in a state of disrepair. The walls were damp, and the floor was covered in seaweed. As she walked deeper into the basement, she saw an old wooden chest sitting in the corner. She approached it cautiously and opened it. Inside the chest, she found a journal belonging to the previous owner. She started to read it, and the more she read, the more she realized that something was off. The journal entries were cryptic and hinted at a conspiracy involving the town's most powerful families. Lucy started to feel like she was in over her head. She didn't know who to trust, and she felt like someone was watching her every move. She decided to leave the lighthouse and go back to the city. As she was packing her things, she heard a knock at the door. She opened it to find a man standing outside. He introduced himself as John, a local fisherman, and said that he had some information that might interest her. He told her that the lighthouse was cursed and that whoever owned it would suffer the same fate as the previous owner. Lucy was skeptical, but she decided to hear him out. John told her that the town's most powerful families had a secret that they would do anything to protect, and that the lighthouse was at the center of it. He said that her grandfather had been killed because he knew too much. Lucy was stunned. She had never known her grandfather, but she had heard stories about him. He had disappeared under mysterious circumstances when she was a child. She had always assumed that he had died in an accident, but now she was starting to think that there was more to the story. John told her that her grandfather had been investigating the town's most powerful families and their connection to the lighthouse. He said that he had found evidence of illegal activity, and they had killed him to keep him quiet. Lucy was skeptical. She didn't know John, and she didn't know if she could trust him. But something about his story rang true. She decided to investigate further. To be continued. Alright guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to rate the novel in the comments below. And if you liked this video, and can't be more interested in this continuing story, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more exciting content.